All right, so are we through? Maybe with part one, but now we're moving to part two. That's right, halfway through making this, I realized we can't do all this in one video. Just putting the decoupage on is a fantastic project all by itself. But now we need to put on all the paint. Put on the layers, bring this baby to life. So in part two, I'm gonna show you how to do just that. Are you ready to see how she's gonna look? Yep, I'm gonna show you step by step. Stay tuned. I've decided to make this the second part of the video series so you guys can take a little break and then come back. And now we're gonna start painting. I mean, it is Paint Finish of the Month Club. So we are gonna do a paint finish. But just take a deep breath and say, good job, all right? You've got your fabric on here. You've got it adhered, you've got it sanded, it's looking good. Now you're gonna know why I said, don't paint it first, all right? Did you paint it first? Did you paint it first? It's okay, that can be your base layer. This is why. You just don't know how it's gonna come together. You really don't until, well, it comes together. So I'm looking at this piece here and I am trying to decide how I want my paint to look. For example, I had planned on doing this bright, beautiful blue. But now that I'm looking at it, I don't think that's the way I wanna go. It's gonna be a little tricky. I want to enhance what's happening here without overpowering what's happening here, okay? So the trick's gonna be finding a color scheme that really makes this pop, but lets it be the star. I know, it's like having a backup singer who really enhances the singer, but doesn't overpower the singer. It's tricky, it's a balance, so that's what we're gonna do. So I've got a bunch of colors here lined up that are pulling from my design, and I'm just staring at them. I've been staring at them for a while. And here's what I have decided. I'm gonna pull you closer that you can see. Let me start with the paints that I tend to use the most are Dixie Belle and Debbie's Design Diary. I think they're both fantastic. Dixie Belle's a chalk-based paint and Debbie's Design Diary is a chalk and clay-based paint. I love both of these. I represent both of these. I sell both of these and I use them in different places, different types of projects, and I also mix them up. So there you go. But for today, I'm really feeling these grays. So this is Mason-Dixon gray. I'm also feeling this vintage duck egg blue. I'm feeling the Gulf. Okay, I'm feeling some apricot with some pops of mermaid tail. I just want you to see this color scheme. Okay, so I'm feeling like really doing a blend of the lighter tones and then punching with a little bit of the richer tone. We'll pull back and look at this in a second. We may need some darker gray just to weight it down at the bottom. These two may be mixed together. Maybe even a little bit of palmetto, I'm not sure yet. So you might be thinking, Sue, why do you need so many paint colors? It's just a dresser, it's not a mural. Well, folks, this is how I paint. This is how I paint, lots of colors. I like to get a lot of different shading. I like to have things layered on top of each other. So let's pull back and take a look here. So these colors are very nicely represented here. So now it just depends on what goes where and how. So what I'm gonna do is start light. I'm gonna start with lighter tones and add onto them where I want it darker. I don't want my line here to break apart my design, okay? So I don't wanna put a solid color that competes with these because I really like the way this feels fluid. So I may want this color to kind of recede a little bit. All right, so we've got a water bottle, some paper towels, a few different kinds of brushes. I like the shorty brushes and I like paint pixie brushes, and I also have some detail brushes just for some little spaces here. And I like to use just a tray, all right? Obviously, I didn't clean that one very well, but it's okay, it's all dry. And I like to put all my colors on here to play with, all at once. If you've painted with me before, this is nothing new to you, but I can't just paint with one color at a time. I just can't do it. Okay, so, oh, and my little broken swivel chair. So So now we are good to go. So let's put some paints down. I am feeling this duck egg blue. But I'm feeling it, but I want it a little bit lighter, okay? It's very gray. I think that'll work really well. A little bit of that on my tray. And I'm gonna put some white on there too, to kind of lighten it up. And Mason Dixon gray. I'm gonna put a little bit of the Gulf on there. Now we're talking. Okay, so I want to just start right here. This off my brush. Start playing with these colors. What I like to do with these colors is instead of kind of mixing them up and then putting them on, I kind of mix them up as I put them on. So, for example, I'm gonna take some of this duck egg. I'm gonna put some white on there all at once. Move it around. I want it a little bit more gray. Not too much color yet. Getting there. I think it needs to be a little bit lighter. I'm liking seeing a little bit of that gray blue. I think we could even go slightly more intense. So I'm going to add a little bit of mermaid tail. That's really that green that we have going on. I decided to sleep on it and come back and finish it out. Look, I changed my clothes and everything. I don't need my glasses. All right, so sometimes you just got to take a break. If you're not sure which way you're going to go, just don't go anywhere, right? Just take a break and think it over. So that's what I did here, and the vision came to me. I was like, okay, now I have it. Now I have it. So I'm really liking the lighter apricot or apricot, depending on your preferred nomenclature. So we'll start here, but I'm really kind of excited about the idea of creating an ombre effect down as we get darker and pull out more of these blues, okay? So that's what I'm going to try to do for you today. So what I want to do right now is get more of the apricot on the bottom and then start really layering in the darker tones of the blues that I want. And once I get this exactly right, then the rest will follow. The rest will totally follow. I've decided I want to leave these in for now so that I can really see where I want my color changes to happen. If you get a little paint here, we've already sealed this with so much Mod Podge, it should wipe right off. All right, let's go. Wait, I need to get back. Okay, so got my paints from yesterday. I didn't put them all back in the containers. I never do. I just put some plastic over them. They'll be fine. Just be careful of the plastic now. Okay, here we go. Hot mess. Okay, so I'm liking this layer. I think I want a little bit more of that apricot up there. So, because I want a little bit more of a delineation between the light and the dark. So it doesn't all just look exactly the same. But I do want this very blendy. So let me get you close up. So I'm going to put the apricot on just a little bit heavier up top. All right? But I really want that blended. So I'm just going to use a water bottle and I'm going to spray my brush. And then just blot it. There we go. Now here's the beauty. I've already got the blue underneath, and I'm washing on the apricot. But if I want to pull back a little bit and see that blue, I can keep going back and forth, right? That's the beauty of it, the layers that you get, okay? But that's still predominantly the apricot color. So let's do that again. I also want it right here on the front curve, because it's always fun to do a lighter color on the curve and get a little bit darker as you pull back, because it really enhances the curve of your piece. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. Just wet my brush a little. And just smooth it out. And I'm just using some regular old artist brushes, nothing fancy. Let it flow, okay? And I'm not even worrying about getting too much on my piece, because look at that, wipes right off. All right, that's feeling good. So I'm all about layers and layers and layers. You have just washing this on. It's already pretty wet on my brush. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you really just can't tell until you stand back and look at it if it's working. And you don't have to be exact. So I'm kind of going in the center, but on this one I went a little heavy to the left. This one I went a little heavy to the right. You don't need to have it perfect. All right, perfect overrated, people. You want it organic. Now I want to start transitioning. And actually this is pretty good. This is good. I'm going to just do the wispiest of wispy of this apricot here. All right, so the least amount I can. All right, so this is kind of blue. So now let's get this even more blue. Let's start with our Gulf. I'm going to kind of layer it on. Now that we have that layered on, I'm going to hit the mermaid tail and deepen it. Same brush, you guys notice? Life's too short to get up and change brushes all the time. Honestly. I'm liking this green here, and I feel like I want to put a little bit in the one before it too. Really blending out these colors. And just keep your brush wet. Not drippy wet, but wet enough to blend. I'm going to go pretty heavy on my darker tones. Put the mermaid tail down here. I'm going to move to a bigger brush. I can really spread out. There we go. think I'm even gonna add a smidge, I'm gonna crawl down here, of some acrylic paint just to deepen this. So I've got this acrylic paint on my tray, and I'm gonna dip my already brushy brush into that deep, 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 deep blue. I'm gonna see what happens. I'm just gonna see what happens. I am digging it. I'm just gonna go right around where the detail is, okay? Almost where there would be a shadow. I'm kind of going right above it. I'm kind of going right in it and right above it. But I'll pull back the highlights. So it's all still wet, and that's why I'm able to really blend this out pretty nicely. Gonna wipe off my brush. Just kind of do an overall blend with the bigger brush. And now I think the key is to stand back and see what we think. I actually think this darker blue needs to be represented a little bit up here. So I'm kind of taking whatever color I'm doing and representing it. It's just another way of blending. So I'm kind of just going over here on the side, which, just for fun, just to see what happens. It's like, it's kind of helping the ombre effect a little bit. Having this color kind of creep up. So whenever you're doing an ombre, you want to think about it kind of creeping up and creeping down and creeping up and creeping down. There we go. So I've got this blue here, and then it's a little bit here. And then I might even have it just a little bit here. I'm just liking this blue so much. Because the thing with ombre is you don't have to have a solid line in your ombre that says, I've just gone from one color to two colors. Break it up a little bit. Have some fun. Ombre is just blending color. It doesn't mean that it has to be linear. Okay. Okay, so now is the moment where we what? Y'all should know this by now. What am I going to do right now? I'm going to step back. I'm going to step back and see how we're doing. Oh, and if you ever need another brush, you know, these make great brushes. Right here. Yep, I'm talking about these. Sometimes you just got to get in there and get dirty and do some blending. Okay, I'm going to step back. Let's see how we're doing. It's like going to the movies. Oh, heck yeah. I love it. I love it. All right, so we've got the apricot up here, and then we brought in a little bit of the blue, a little bit more, then we're starting to get heavy, and now we've really got that sea blue on the bottom. I thought about doing that sea blue on the whole piece, but I just felt it would overpower it, and now your eye kind of goes, whoa, doesn't it? All right, so what I'm gonna do now is take this effect that I did that I really like and do the legs, okay? And then we're gonna turn her around and we're gonna start there and then we're gonna push everything up. Just gonna lift it up. All right, she's pretty, but you know. Yeah, No, I'm happy. I'm happy. Aren't these the best moments? Like, we all know the moments where you're like, what happened? What did I do? I ruined it. All right. If you don't have one of those moments, you are not trying hard enough. You're not pushing yourself far enough. Honestly, you've got to have those moments of despair where you go home for dinner and you're just a wreck because you can't get that thing to do that thing that's in your head. But then you go home, you get a good night's sleep, right? If you have a cocktail like me, a little gin tonic, you just relax and you put it out of your head. You come back with fresh eyes and you go, that's why. That's exactly it. That's what it needed. And that's how I feel about this piece. I kind of had to stop and go, what's not working? Sleep on it, come back, put on some new earrings, put my hair up because it's hot in here. Now we're rolling. Okay, let's keep going. I'm going to go back here with this camera so you guys can see me. So now I'm going to do the same effect right here. No judging the floor. And that was basically putting on our mermaid tail, all right? And make sure you get up under there. And that's why I have this old rug here. I see a lot of the painters have those wood blocks. Those are really smart. I should do that. But sometimes I just use old rugs. Because I need to be able to move it around really easily. And so folded over old rugs work well for me on my floors. I also tried those rollers, but for me, they just kept slipping off all the time. They're really frustrating. So again, old rug. So I'm gonna go in here, get in these nooks and crannies. And I'm really crawling underneath here. I'm going to make sure I'm getting everything. The worst thing is you've done a piece, all right? I say this to all my students. And you've sold it, and it's in your store, and you're so proud. And then you go to put it in their car. You put it in their hatchback of choice, and then what do you see? Where you missed a spot. So, as long as I can still completely contort myself, I'm going to make sure I get these spots here. And if I can't get underneath, I'm going to flip her over. Because here's the thing. Once they've paid for this piece, and then they flip her over and they see that there are no cobwebs and you've painted the underside and you've painted the back, there's no buyer's remorse. They're like, oh my God, she really paid attention to detail. But if you flip her over and there's like a giant cobweb and there's no paint under here, I don't know, I just get embarrassed. I'm like, oh God, I hope, well, you know, so you've got to think about your whole piece. I mean, don't spend so much time that you negate your profit margin, all right? We can do a whole other tutorial on that, but it just takes a second. Get the underside, make sure it's clean, make sure when you flip her over and put her in that car, they are just as happy with her undercarriage as they are with the stunning piece that you've created. Trust me on this. It'll take you places. It'll take you places, okay? So right now, just get upside down. This one's really deep. I definitely see some cobwebs. And you'll probably notice I'm already going over some gray that I had here, which is kind of cool because that'll give me a little bit of room to play with pulling back colors if I need to. So now I have to decide how far up do I want this blue to go. And I think I actually do want it to go up. to about here. So I'm going to put my base on. Now once I'm all done, I'm going to pull out the drawers and make sure I've gotten inside. And now here's a little thing. So see right there? I actually pulled off a little bit of the image. Well, this is a good time. You can just use your paint to pull that in a little bit. All right, if you've got a little white spot showing, all right, just blend it. Perfect. All right. Now, I work in small sections because I want to use the paint while it's wet to help me blend my colors, okay? So, while it's still wet, I'm going to dip this same brush into the mystery blue, and I'm going to just figure out where I want that to be. I kind of want it to be inside of this design. Going down. Just think about kind of darker colors being in the recesses if you want a shadow effect, just like you would a painting. And lighter colors are your highlights. I'm just getting these darker tones kind of into these little crevices here. Then wet your brush or use another brush, either one. And you can kind of pull back in the center and get back to your highlight. And use a rag. All right, so I went a little far and I actually got back to the gray, but you know what? I like it. That's what I mean. Just keep playing. Just keep playing. Accidents are your friends in this case. Go back and look at the front and make sure you're happy with that. I'm going to keep going up with this green, but I'm probably going to let it get a little bit lighter as I go. So I'm just dipping into my lighter color as I keep going up, up, up. Till I get back to the apricot. So in here, where I have this kind of fading out, this is fading out a little bit. I'm going to bring in that green, just so it's cohesive, just a little bit. There we go. Same thing down here. See how I've got this color, but then it's blocked against here. I'm just going to bring a little bit of that in. A little piece of the material over. There we go. Now this pulls together. Nice coffee. It's early. If you were catching me at 7, we'd be having a cocktail. Yep. Definitely like the way the apricot's coming in up here. I like the way there's still some just random kind of brush strokes of our greens happening. You may think it's for no apparent reason, but actually it really helps tie the piece together. There we go. Okay. Y'all ready to start on the side? I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm going to do a split screen, okay? Ooh, technology. So you guys can see what I'm doing close up and far away at the same time. Brilliant. I love using this on my lives too because I find it frustrating when I want to see, like, do you guys, just get this straight. So sometimes when you guys are live, are you like, go in, closer, 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 I want to see what she's doing. I can't tell what she's doing. I can't tell what she's doing. All right, so I get that. So that's why I try to do sometimes split screen, which I'm going to do here for you now. All right, so let's do this. So we got a bigger surface. I've already kind of cross-hatched it with grays and whites. I had a different plan for this, but I'm really glad that I went ahead and did that because now it's going to make my life so much easier. All right, so we're going to start with our base of the mermaid tail and just go over all of this. I'm a stabber. I've been told I'm a stabber when I paint. That's why I go through a lot of brushes. But it makes me happy. It helps me get this mottled look. Or it just gets out all my aggression. Either way. There we go. I'm just kind of checking back over here to see where my color changes. It doesn't have to be at the exact same place. It really doesn't. And I'm kind of overlapping this a little bit. Have you guys noticed how little I've poured out any other paint? This is the paint from yesterday. A little bit of this paint goes such a long way, you guys. Such a long way. Okay, so am I going to do a line? Knowing me, probably not. Probably not. I'm just going to kind of put this on and then see what feels good. And you'll notice also, not only do I stab, I kind of do a cross hatch. Okay? You're never going to see this from me. I like to dig it in. I like to spread it around. I like the mottled effect that I get doing it this way. I'm going to start bringing in Gulf. And then blending it back in. Now for this piece, I'm definitely doing kind of crosshatch. On different other pieces, I might go in circles, that kind of thing. But this is working for today. I know the color is a little bit off on the split screen because the camera's coming at 2 different angles to the light, but this one is more accurate. And the other one here, the close-up, really just watch the strokes that I do. So you can really see. I'm going to dip back into my darker color. All right, and if it's starting to get a little bit choppy, honestly, just a slight mist. Okay, and that's how you can blend. I'm gonna go gray right here. I'm just adding a little bit back of this gray. Kind of like how the gray color makes the others pop. And it's got a lot of red in it, a lot of pink. All right. It's kind of fun. Have fun. If I mention that, have fun. Okay. So now I'm getting a little mottled tone there, and I think we're ready to get to apricot. Just start right up here. I've got a lot of green in my brush. That's okay. I'm kind of looking at where on the front I shifted to the lighter color, but I'm not matching it exactly. Just kind of keeping an eye. Start stripping, just go catch it. Or leave it. I mean, the drip look is in. Used appropriately, I think it can be really fun. Okay, so I want this to blend a little bit more than what we've got here. So I'm going to take my darker tones, kind of start mushing it around a little bit. I can't really say that I have a very specific rhyme or reason. I want it to blend. I want it to be visually interesting. But other than that, I'm just going where it feels right. And as your paint dries, keep feathering it. That'll help you get rid of your brush strokes if you want them to be gone. So right now I want to kind of wet my brush down and just blend without adding paint. So I'm just going to spritz it a little bit where I see brush strokes and start blending and wiping off on my towel. Wiping off on my towel because I don't want to keep reapplying water. Color I've not added is our blue, our crazy beautiful blues. I'm going to put a little bit of that on my brush and just blend it into the bottom here. And just blend it into the bottom here. Just honestly, just a smidge. You don't need much, okay? I'm going to go here. Start blending that in. Because kind of dotting it. Works for me. I like it. So you can see here that the undertone of the gray is really coming through. We've got a blend of our colors. It's an ombre-ish effect. And yeah, all right, let's do the other side. And here's the thing, you don't have to make it match. Somebody can't stand on both sides of your piece and see it at the same time, okay? So have some fun, reinvent it. All right, let's twirl. I'm actually gonna, it's pretty dry, so I'm actually gonna just spritz it a little bit to help my paint smooth out. Gonna start again with our mermaid tail, our deepest, second to deepest, I guess. Color. I really like these dark grays in here, so I want to kind of let them show through, maybe even a little bit more than on the other side. So that's why I'm going to wet it down a little bit more. So the beauty with all these paints is how much you can go back in and keep reactivating them. And I'm really just flicking my wrist, you know, I'm not going too hard. I'm mushing around my strokes a little bit if I feel like it's too straight back and forth. Yeah, I kind of like this heavier on the gulf on this side. I'm just seem to be applying more. And you guys are all going to have your own stroke. I mean, you may take kind of what I'm doing. I mean, it's just using water, wiping off your brush, putting it on in random effects. You could sit here and do this exact class with me and have a completely different look. And I think that's awesome. That's what it's all about. when I do teach in craft club, I'm not teaching how to paint a specific piece. We do a lot of experimenting with process, because you don't need to come up with exactly what I'm doing. I just want you to see the process of what I'm doing. And then use your own colors, use your own design, make it yours. Make it yours, okay? I'm just giving you the tools to make it yourself in your own way. Don't try to emulate this exactly. Do it the way you would do it. I'm just giving you some tips and some tricks. Sometimes what I have fun doing also is what happens if I do try to copy someone exactly. In this month of my club, we're doing all flowers. So we've made resin flowers. We have made felt flowers. We've painted flowers. We've done a mural. Oh goodness gracious, we've done so many things just trying to create the essence of a flower. And I thought what would be fun is if I actually tried to copy a flower from a painting. Exactly. I couldn't do it. But it was really fun to see like where the shading is supposed to be, right? Where it gives the depth that says that the petal is opening, but it's still going to be my stroke. It's still going to be where I push the brush heavier or lighter. Like I could not actually copy it, and nor do I think I should, right? And nor should you. Okay. So I want to pull back a little here because I covered up my gray more than I wanted to. So what I'm going to do is just take my rag and pull back a little bit. Look at that. Because I have all those colors underneath, I can do that. Then I can put my hair in it. And now we can go back and blend it a little bit more. I'm actually going to pull that up a little bit. That felt good. Here's where we need to stop. Stop. Just stop. It's looking pretty good. We need to walk away, turn it front ways, make sure we're happy. We're about there. We're about done. And we got to paint the top. So what are we going to do with the top? Well, we've kind of ended up with the apricot up there. So basically what I'm going to do is just use what's left on my plate of mostly the apricot with a little bit of hint of the blues showing. But basically, since we've done an ombre all the way up to the top, I'm not going to bring the blue heavily back up there. We're going to let that end on a lighter note. Okay? Let's let her dry. Let's walk away and see how we feel. Go work on another project. Go make dinner. Go lie in the hammock. Let me think of the things I want to do. Go to the beach. No, don't go that far. We still need to finish. All right, we're at the last step. Now on these tall dressers, I have to say, I almost always do the top last. Why? Well, it's gonna be the least seen, if I'm being honest. If this was a low cabinet, that would be the star, but really the star is the front and the sides, and this is where stuff's gonna get put on top. Not gonna forget about it, but I usually do it last to see how everything else turns out, and then I'll finish it off, and then we'll decide on our top coat. You guys ready to finish this baby up? Let's go. So, as we ombre'd up the sides, we kind of ended up with the apricot. So, that's what I'm going to do on the top. I'm going to spritz her down a little bit. Help the paint move around. Put some in our tray. I'm going to start kind of from the center. little bit here, our star blue. I feel like it needs some kind of like shadow here. I'm just going right in the crevice. We're about there. Just a couple more steps left. I'm going to leave that to you. Basically, we need to seal the whole piece. So you guys have watched a lot of these videos and you may have your own way of sealing that works best for you. I personally love using clear wax. I use all different brands. I use Debbie's brand, I use Dixie Belle, and I am going to coat this whole thing in a layer of wax and the paint too. It's not really going to change anything. It's just going to give that one added layer of protection. Okay, so use what you like. You can use a polyurethane, you can use wax, you can use Big Top, you can use any product that works for you that you're used to using. Put it over the whole thing. It's all good. And then lastly, hardware. I got to put the hardware back on. So let me just show you real quick what you're going to need to do. Well, first we need to decide, are we going to use that hardware? Mine was French Provincial, and this piece doesn't really look French Provincial anymore. And I want something that won't compete. So actually I've decided to switch my hardware, and I'm going to go with glass. All right. So I got these right online, super easy. But yes, there are 2 holes here. Well, the beauty of this is I can just pick one. So I'm going to pick the center and not the wide. Okay, let me show you what I mean. So right now we have these 2 holes where the French Provincial hardware would go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug one of them up with wood filler and use the other one. The only thing we have to make sure of here is that we're using the same one all the way through, okay? That's all I'm going to do. Don't try to poke it through the front, and don't try to poke it through the back. You'll just push all that fabric off. You'll push off all that hard work. So here's what I want you to do. Find where the hole is, okay? Put your finger on it, and then push it down a little bit, and you're gonna see a dent, a little bit of a dent. And then take your drill. Not too big. You just need to make a little bit of an opening right where that dent is. Okay, and drill right through. There you go. Now you have a hole. Now you can take your hardware and put it right through. I learned this the hard way. I learned everything the hard way for you guys, okay? Now you can push it right through. Put your hardware on. Look at that. It's perfect. It's perfect because this is not going to compete with this, all right? I got the ones with the bubbles inside. Sometimes I get the clear ones. Go with whatever works for you, but I thought the ones with the bubbles would look kind of fun with this pattern, but again, not compete with everything that we've just done. Or you can put your other hardware right back on, or you can paint it. The choice is yours, but just because you have 2 holes, because you have that kind of hardware, doesn't mean you have to stick with that. And it also doesn't mean you have to drill new ones. Just use one like I did. Okay? All right, I'm gonna do the rest. Before we say goodbye, I just want to thank you. I hope you've had fun today. I am going to include a bonus for you, okay? So this fabric I found on Spoonflower, but I've also done pieces where I've made my own fabric out of designs that I've painted, out of my children's artwork, and even memorabilia. Can you imagine doing a piece like this, but having it be baby's mementos or your kids' school photos or a sports team that you love? The possibilities are endless. So just click the link in the comments, sign up, and I'll send it right over to you. And the only thing I ask in return is that you show me what you make. I just want to see how you use the technique I've shown you today in your own unique way. Thanks so much, you guys. Tanglewood Sue, over and out. We made it. I made it. You made it. Did you make it? Have you made it yet? So I'm all done, just getting her staged for some photography so that you guys can see how awesome this turned out and be inspired to make one for yourself. So I just want to thank you guys for watching today. I want to thank Jennifer and her whole team for having me on Paint Finish of the Month Club. It's been a thrill and an honor to be here with you today and to teach you some tips and tricks and basically just to share my passion for all things creative, for color, for upcycling, for reuse, for all of it. I really appreciate you watching this show. I hope it's inspired you. I hope you go out there and you grab some fabric and you grab some paint and you find that piece off the side of the road and you just make it you. Just make it all you, because that's gonna make it awesome. All right, you guys. Mwah. See you later.